Hi, my name is Valencia Joy, and I am your favorite sister girlfriend authoress. My book, I Met a Guy, and Other Things You Can Only Discuss with Your Sister Girlfriends. I am so excited to share this book with Dave and living the next chapter. You can find my book anywhere you buy books or on my site, vjoyful.com. That's V as in Victor, EEJOYFUL.com. I think what I would say is what I've been saying, and that is find time for you as a woman. Find time for you. Find space for you. I know that at different points in your life, it's kind of hard to do. When my children were babies, it was hard to find space for me because they needed a lot of me. But as life shifts, and I have to let go of some things, I now have more room for myself. So do what you can when you can. Accept help, which is hard for women to do. But if someone is there offering help so that you're able to have space for yourself, please, and it's safe help, please accept the help. And look out for yourself. Look out for your heart. Work on being more forgiving. Work on forgiving those that have hurt you and just letting it go. Work on dropping the bags, things that you're carrying from your childhood, which I talked about earlier, or things that happened yesterday that are bothering you. Let it go as quickly as you can. If you need to sit
my name is
in those
Valencia
emotions,
Joy, and I am your favorite
so that you can figure out
why I feel
my
this
book,
way, why
I Met
I,
a Guy,
why
and
I'm
other
hurting,
things you can only discuss
why it
with your
happened,
sister
why
girlfriends.
good.
I am so excited
But
to
then
share
get
this
up
book with
out of those
Dave
emotions
and living
send
the
those
next
bags packing,
chapter,
because
you can find my book anywhere
mental
you buy
health
books
and
or
physical
on my
health
site,
is so important, and it's
vjoyful.com.
so
That's V as in
crucial,
Victor,
especially at this age.
EEJOYFUL.
Especially at this age. I'm looking at 43 in a couple months. I don't want to look like
no,
I'm
that's
63
exactly how you
because
do
I'm
that.
holding on to anger.
Wow. Okay.
Or unforgiveness.
I think that one's
I
a
don't
take. We're
want
going to
my
take that
body
one.
to
We're going to keep that one. That's great.
to give way quicker than what it was supposed to, because I'm holding on
All
to
right.
unforgiveness.
Okay, everyone.
I don't
Welcome
want
to
to
the
keep
podcast.
talking
As you've
about
heard at the
how I
beginning,
need to lose
my
weight.
guest has
I
got
want
a
to go
great
work
new
out.
book out that's out for you.
Go work
and
out.
We want all
Find
the sisters
time,
together
even if
for
it's
this.
10 minutes.
I feel a little out of place
to walk around your
because I'm a
neighborhood or
guy,
the treadmill
but
or whatever.
I'm here
Find
because
things for
this
you.
author is amazing.
Find what
and
makes
we
you
already have
happy.
connected
Find what
on
makes you tick.
so many levels
And find
before we have recorded. I really appreciate having time
what allows
with
you to
Welcome
be
the
your
podcast.
most
How are
authentic
things?
self.
Greetings, and all that.
People talk about vibrating high. And
you said, how am I?
And
Yeah.
I'm good.
I can't think of the other term that's on the tip of my
mentally,
tongue. But all of these terms mean the same thing.
Trying to find my balance.
It's your best self.
As a mother,
My youngest son
so what
is getting
makes
ready
you your
to
best
graduate
self?
high school. Do more of that.
And so we're in the
Become
phase
more
of
that.
we just decided
Chase
to go to prom,
after
which is
that.
next weekend. So
That's what I would tell.
we're doing
women
that.
that
and
are
also
listening.
just getting
And if you bought the book,
last minute projects together.
That's okay. But if you want to buy the book, go ahead and buy the book.
Transitioning into this new stage of parenthood, and also a new stage of Valencia, which I don't truly know where I'm headed, but it'll be an interesting ride, I guess.
I love it. And that's an amazing time for your kids.
It is.
And your support as a parent through these big changes, right? Is huge.
Yeah.
Do you remember back in the day when you were getting ready for prom? What was that like compared to what you're seeing today?
Oh man, prom is a whole show now compared to when I was graduating. And also I was in like a small Christian school, so like we couldn't dance at our prom, and it wasn't a lot of after prom stuff. These kids are like, I don't know, it's huge. It looks like wedding preparation. My son is very low key though, so he doesn't want to do like the prom send off. He doesn't want to wear a tux. Like we've been going back and forth about things like that. I think if I had a girl, it would be a lot different. But with him, as with my oldest son, he graduated 2 years ago, just very low key. He doesn't even want to take a date. So this would just be almost like another Saturday night.
Nice.
Yeah. But I'm excited for him.
I know for our daughter, when she graduated, she got a beautiful dress, gorgeous, and wore the dress once. And now it's sitting in the cupboard. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was that was an expensive evening. But great for them, great memories for them as well, and something they'll never forget. And a great next step for them as adults, right?
Yeah. And it's scary. It's scary, as I was saying earlier, like, I now have to rely on everything that I've taught them the past 18 or 20 years. And now feeling more like a tour guide or a confidant when they allow me in.
Right.
Versus being a parent and knowing and telling, what they should do. Where are they? It's very different. It's very different. I'm trusting that what I taught sticks.
Yeah.
But there's still a part of me that's like, did it stick?
Mm-hmm.
Did they listen? Are they going to be okay? But I also have just been adamant in letting them know that home is home. So if you get out there and stuff gets crazy, come back home. You can always come back home.
Yeah, one thing we told our kids, all three of them, they've all left the house during COVID to find their next path. And so we went from a full house to an empty nest in like weeks. Yeah. We told them all, you never need to knock on the front door.
Yeah.
Your key always works in the front door if we're not here. This is still your home.
Yes.
Right. And you're never a visitor in your own home.
Yes.
You don't have to ask to go to the refrigerator. This is your house.
Absolutely.
It's still your house. No matter where you end up in life, wherever that is in the world, you walk through that front door as if you've never left.
Yep.
And that door is always open to you. Yep. So that's one thing I like, is to make sure they understand that. Mm-hmm. Because our life goes on as adults. We paint a room, redecorate, take their bedroom and turn it into our writing study, whatever, right? But our life goes on, their life goes on, but home is home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. Anyway, so we're connecting on this level, and I love it. So let's talk about your author journey, hence the podcast, Living the Next Chapter. Let's talk about you and how you got on this path to say, you know what? I've got a few minutes in my week. I'm going to become an author. Take me back to this point in time and how your author journey kind of started and how it brought you to today.
So I've always been a writer. I've always loved words. And I've always been a communicator. My major in college was communications. But I never truly thought that I would be a published author. I call myself an authoress because I'm a lady.
I love it.
So I never thought that was possible, just because of the twists and turns that my life has taken. I got married young. I had my kids young, and just went through a lot of negative things in my marriage. I was riddled with affairs, and that just takes a toll on. It took a toll on my mental and also on my how I view myself. It just took a toll. Period. Just as a woman. And what I began to do is blog anonymously, because I did not want for people to know what I was going through, people that knew me to know what I was going through. So I blogged anonymously, and people found the blog. I was on Tumblr, and people found the blog, and women would, from far and wide, would email me and say, like, I feel the exact same way. I'm going through the exact same thing, and I couldn't put it into words, and you're putting it into words for me, how I'm feeling. And people really resonated with what I was saying, what I was writing. And that showed me two things. Number one, that our problems are not unique, because everybody seemed to be going through something similar. And number two, that my pen really was powerful, because these women didn't know me. It's not like they were my friends or family and felt the need to speak life into me. These women didn't know how I was, and they were adamant in that my writing was helping them.
That's nice. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So eventually, got divorced, came out of the anonymous umbrella. I felt like God was calling me out of the anonymous umbrella, and I started various things. I had a women's empowerment organization, heysis.org. I started Hey VTV on YouTube, and all of that consisted around helping women that had low self-esteem or felt like they were struggling in their marriage or struggling in their womanhood or struggling to figure out who they were. I felt like in my marriage, I lost myself in my titles of being his wife and being their mom. But who is Valencia? Because my life had shifted and I no longer had a marriage. And I knew eventually my kids would grow up and graduate and move out and I would shift as a parent. So who was I if none of these titles existed? And a lot of women face that issue. So I just started writing and talking and writing and talking, but still never felt like being published was an attainable goal. I know this is a long story.
No, I love it. I'm right with you. Let's go. This is great.
I felt I'm a believer. I'm a Christian. So I felt like God was telling me to just write. And I had kind of letting the blog go and kind of let the show go, and COVID hit, and, just trying to hold on to life and hold on to sanity. But I felt like God was telling me to write, and I really didn't have time to write because I had gone back to school to finish my degree. I had these 2 boys that I was trying to raise, and there was really no time, but I carved out time when I could, and I would make little notes in my phone or hop on a computer. My friend got me a computer because I could not afford one. So she got an old computer from her job that they were going to throw out. And this computer was like a dinosaur. Like it took forever to turn on, but it's what I wrote on.
Nice.
I used what I could, and I had people that helped me. And I just wrote when I could. And then it just sat there. It sat on a disk and a file for years. And I'm kind of like, God, but I'm still struggling with bills and struggling with these kids and struggling, single. I've been single for 8 years. That's a hard life to navigate through too. And no book, no nothing. And then Corey Sykes, she's here in Cleveland with me. She was going to make like a writing center. COVID hit, we couldn't gather. And so she called me and said, I'm going to pivot and instead do a publishing house. Do you have anything that's ready? She asked me, did I have randoms? So my randoms are on Facebook. I always post 10 randoms. Now they have to be 10 because I can only do even numbers. Odd numbers make me itch. So number 10 is always, why this is here, because I can only do even numbers. And so she wanted like a list of randoms. And I was kind of like, well, I have them, but people have already read the randoms. But I have this manuscript that's been sitting here for a couple of years. And I sent it to her. She loved it. And we made some tweaks and some adjustments to it. And it was published in 3 months. And that's, I guess, unheard of in the book world.
Yeah.
It was published in 3 months, and it has done so very well in these past 2 years. I'm up for Author of the Year award here in Cleveland. First place in the Best Book Awards. Is rated 5 stars on Amazon. Like, it's doing very well. And I'm proud of all the accolades that it's achieving. But I'm also happy that when women text me or call me or email me and say, this really helped me. This brought to light the fact that I need to honor my friendships better, because it's about women and friendships and everything that we discuss when the men and the children are not around. I call it the girls' night out on paper. So it's about everything that involves friendship and how we need each other to walk through this life. And so when women call me with, positive things to say about it and how it's exposing how they need to build their friendships better, it makes me happy. It makes me proud.
Okay, so if you were to gather your ideal reader for this book, let's say 10 women that would be perfect for this book, and who you had in your heart when you wrote this and who you kind of directed your thoughts towards, those 10 people arrive at a bookshop for you to sign the book. Tell me a little bit about the women that would be arriving through that door. Who are they? What's their life situation? Who is this book helping? Who would be coming through that door to meet you to have their book signed?
Yeah, I think it's the everyday woman in her 30s and 40s. Let me say, I find it hard to do demographics. Number one, I find it very hard because I want everybody to do everything. That's my personality. But women that are in their 30s and 40s that are figuring out who they are as women, who they are in their relationships, figuring out relationships, who they are as mothers. Like, we're figuring it all out all at once, and it can be very overwhelming. But to do it together eases the pain of it all, eases the heaviness of it all, because we can bounce off of each other. So mothers, people, wives, single women, working women that, I talk in the book about having to advocate for yourself at work. Do you know how hard that is?
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard because we're mostly in male-dominated environments where if you speak up, you're automatically looked at as being, too aggressive or the B word or whatever, but you're not looked at as a part of, and like your voice matters, It's hard to advocate for yourself at work because you need work, because you need the money,
Right.
So that's the type of woman that I want to talk to, the type of woman that forgets to put herself on her list. Because we forget ourselves and we put ourselves last. We feel like we're Superwoman. We put the cape on and we're helping everybody everywhere except for ourselves.
Nice. Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
Based on what I know of you and our chats before hitting record, and you're having you right here right now, who you are and what you do and who you serve is amazing through the book and through all the content you put out into the world, the blog, all the stuff, right? The resources are vast and rich and deep for what you have provided to people. Have you ever thought of doing a podcast in and around your book? Because I know my wife would be putting her hand up to listen to this show.
Wow.
Based on your content. B, you help so many people. And you could also then combine your podcast with your book and also bring on other women to talk about their story all around your book and increase that audience. You've done it in many other ways. I'm just saying, I was putting it out there as a podcast lover. I see in you the ability to reach such a great audience, and there's women that would love to hear your voice on a regular basis and connect with you. I like to put it out there because I just see in you something very special.
Thank you.
I wanted to kind of plant that seed, and maybe you've thought of it before, but I just know you have it. You have something very special for people. So I just wanted to give that to you. So
thank you. I'm sweating now. You've made me nervous.
See? No, but you there's something special about your presentation, who you are, your story, your book. There's just so many ways that you could help so many people in addition to what you've done already.
I had Hey VTV, which was podcast like. Corey used to help me with it, and then life took turns. I think I'm more afraid of success than failure.
Let's talk about that.
I feel, and couple that with just a fear of rejection. So I've been doing work with that because I feel like that's a core wound, like a childhood wound that comes from like my dad. My parents split up when I was young, and that left for me a hole that was hard to repair because there was a lot of anger sitting there and resentment because I felt rejected. So I still carry that to this day, and I know I need to put that bag down. I'm learning how to, but putting out content there's always that risk that people won't like it or people will reject it. So I'm nervous about that. And then on the flip side, do you feel like my therapist? Because we're kind of
this is. I'm thinking it's going both ways, to be quite honest.
But then on the flip side, it's like, what do I do if it succeeds?
Right.
Because I'm not trying to paint my life to be this awful thing because it hasn't, but I'm definitely used to things not going the right way. So if it does go the right way, what would I do?
Help a lot of people.
Yeah.
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 You would. You already are. It's not future tense. It's current. You're helping people right now. So I'm just really connecting with you as a person and your message. And I know there's an audience that's waiting to hear your shout and hear your voice. So again, when I meet somebody that has such a passion for what they do and what their topic is, you're not out here to make $1 million. You're here to help people. And the whole thing about, well, what if I fail? I face it every day. I have 7 podcasts.
Yeah.
And every day I wonder, is this resonating? Is this hitting? But the moment you get that feedback, you talked about the feedback you've had in the past. The moment you get that feedback that, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed. Thank you. I've been looking for this. Somebody said to me, like, who am I to do this? And I always like to say, who are you not to do this? Right.
Yeah.
And whatever that is that gets in your way of sharing your message, writing your book, getting on a podcast as a guest, getting on YouTube, sharing your message. What if somebody was connecting with you because of your message?
Yeah.
I just think there's something special there. So I just wanted to put that out there because I just see something great there. So.
Thank you, David.
Okay. So no pressure, please. No pressure at all. But I'm just telling you that I think it would be a huge success, and I think you deserve some big successes in your life. So
thank you. Thank you.
So tell me more about the book. And like, as I go and I hit add to cart, I add this book to my cart and it comes and arrives at my door. What am I going to see? What am I going to feel when I get in there? Unpack this for us a little bit. There it is. Come on.
It's a pretty book.
It's beautiful.
It's very girly. It feels like the feedback that I have gotten really resonates with what I wanted when I wrote it and when I put it out there, which is I wanted to feel like you're sitting on the couch talking to me.
Nice.
Or that we're, over a glass of wine, a cup of coffee, whatever your zhuzh is, like, that's what I want it to feel like. It's just me and you having an intimate conversation where you realize that you haven't experienced all these things by yourself.
Good.
I've experienced them too. And vice versa, Yeah. Just a really good girls' night. I'm big on that. I'm big on girls' night. I'm big on quality time with my people. And that's what I want the book to be. So I talk about anything and everything, like dealing with your husband, dating life, raising these kids, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
I deal with going to the gynecologist. I deal with why bras cost $1 gazillion. Like,
Exactly.
It's like a mortgage payment for a bra. And then they don't even come in cute colors.
Come on.
So I talk about just anything that me and another woman would typically talk about. I have the funniest story about getting my first Brazilian wax. I'll spare you the details.
There you go.
But it's a hilarious story that people stop me and talk to me about to this day. Because it's shared experiences as women.
Yeah. So do you feel like you're holding a space for women then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because we don't, like I said, we don't take time to hold it for ourselves.
Right.
So I try to create that space, at least for a couple minutes, for us to just laugh and talk and kind of forget all of the whatevers we have to do when we're done with this,
Yeah.
That's what I wanted the book to feel like. And it's quick. It's a quick book. And that was my only complaint. That when people talk to me, the only complaint that I got was that it was too short.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll take it. I'll write a longer one. But if that's, the biggest complaint, then I feel like job well done on this one.
I guess the other side too would be for a single parent, like in your situation with two boys, there's not a lot of women interaction in your home, right? No. So you need that time to surround yourself with other women to just get out of the house and get away from all the maleness in the house, right? Yeah. So that's a big plus too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm just big on, there's such a beautifulness to feminine energy.
Yes.
I appreciate men. I love men. Don't get me wrong. But there's such a divineness when women sit at the table, when women begin to interact with each other, that it's almost like I almost can't describe it, but that's what I go for. Like when I do Hey Sis, I want the women at the table. Let's talk. When I'm doing Hey VTV, I want the women to watch. Let's talk. There's beauty there and there's wisdom there that's really untapped because we're so busy, like I said, helping others that we don't get a chance to just be. And by being with each other, we help each other.
Right. Tell me some of the feedback you've had from the book. People saying it's too short, which is great. You leave them wanting more. I love that. What else have you heard back from people that have bought the book and responded back?
They asked me about how to build friendships. I think the older we get, it's harder to build and maintain friendships. And I think a lot of times we make it a lot harder than what it needs to be. I think any relationship, friendship is work, but it's not unattainable. It requires communication. It requires things being a two-way street. You reach out, I reach out. You make time, I make time. So it's not as hard as we make it out to be. But, once you've experienced life, trust becomes an issue. And it's hard to trust people going in blind, to new people. It's hard to trust. It's hard to build, but it's not impossible. So I get a lot of feedback about that. And I also get a lot of feedback of this made me want to call my friend who I haven't talked to in a while. This made me want to reach out, or, some women have actually gone to see their friends out of state that they haven't seen in a while. Just reading this book and missing that companionship that comes with friendship.
Is that interesting to you to hear that kind of feedback?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I am a friend person. Like I'm always the one planning the get-togethers, or, when college friends around the holidays come in town, I'm always getting everybody together. I'm always texting, hey, you were on my mind. Are you okay? So I'm that type of person. So it was hard for me to understand that not everybody is like that, that some people just let the friendships go for whatever reason. But I'm happy to know that what I wrote inspired women to get back up into friendship. It's an important ship. We put a lot of emphasis on our romantic relationships, which we should. Those are important too. But those aren't the only things. And when he make you mad, where you gonna go?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, that makes complete sense. What about what do you think is next for you? The book is out, people are loving it, people are enjoying it. Is there something else kind of on the horizon for you as an author? Is there something else in the works?
Yeah, there is. I've been diligently working on my second book, and I've definitely put probably more pressure on myself than I should to get it done, just because the first book was so successful that following that up, I want to make sure that I'm being authentic and not just trying to, not purposely, my main goal, it be as big as the first one, but be authentic in what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Right.
So I'm still speaking to women, and I want to talk about, or what I am talking about is the beauty that is a woman in her 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And I think turning 40 was such a big event for me. And at first I was thinking maybe it was because it was during COVID and life just felt so fragile during that time that to be able to hit 40 seemed like a big deal. But what I'm learning is women everywhere all the time when they're turning 40 feel this shift.
Yeah.
And it's like sinking deeper into the bath of womanhood. Like that's what it feels like. And I watched a super old clip. It was an Oprah Winfrey clip. She was talking to like Gladys Knight and Shaka Khan and Patti LaBelle and like that whole crew when they were turning 40. And that was so many years ago, but they're saying the exact same thing that I'm saying as I was turning 40. The clarity, the wisdom, the maturity, the beauty, it was just a beautiful experience. And I want to talk about it. I want to discuss why is it so big and why the 40s, not just turning 40, but 40 to 49. Like this feels huge and it feels beautiful. So that's what I've been writing about.
Okay, so I'm going to go back there. I'm sorry, but when I talk about podcasting and sharing your voice, you talk about sitting on the couch with someone and talking and sharing, and you talk about your message we just heard now. Those are all that is a podcast. You just did it for us right now. So I'm going to get out of the way. People have come to this episode because they've seen your name in the podcast title. Through promotion, people have found the episode. Maybe they don't even know who you are, and this is the first time they've heard your voice, and they're hearing about your book. But they're here. And this is your target audience, okay? As a white guy in Canada, right? I'm going to kind of back away a little bit from the microphone, and I'm turning the podcast over to you. I would love for you to talk to the listeners that have gathered around our topic today and gathered around you. Members of your community are here right now, listening to our conversation, cheering you on, going, I love this book. It's the best book in the world. So they're already here. We don't have to convince them to stay. They're already here. I'm giving the podcast over to you in this moment, and I would love for you to talk to them directly, share what's on your heart right now as you're thinking about your next book, about how this book that you currently have out for the world, how it's going to help them. And let's celebrate the people that have come that already have the book on their coffee table and love it. What would you say to this audience that's gathered around you today? You can speak to them directly, not through me, but directly to them. What would you say to them?
I think what I would say is what I've been saying, and that is find time for you. As a woman, find time for you, find space for you. I know that at different points in your life, it's kind of hard to do. When my children were babies, it was hard to find space for me because they needed a lot of me. But as life shifts and I have to let go of some things, I now have more room for myself. So do what you can when you can. Accept help, which is hard for women to do. But if someone is there offering help so that you're able to have space for yourself, please, and it's safe help, please accept the help. And look out for yourself. Look out for your heart. Work on being more forgiving. Work on forgiving those that have hurt you and just letting it go. Work on dropping the bags, things that you're carrying from your childhood, which I talked about earlier, or things that happened yesterday that are bothering you. Let it go as quickly as you can. If you need to sit in those emotions so that you can figure out why I feel this way, why I'm hurting, why it happened, why, good. But then get up out of those emotions and send those bags packing, because mental health and physical health is so important and it's so crucial, especially at this age. I'm looking at 43 in a couple months. I don't want to look like I'm 63 because I'm holding on to anger. or unforgiveness. I don't want my body to give way quicker than what it was supposed to because I'm holding on to unforgiveness. I don't want to keep talking about how I need to lose weight. I want to go work out. Go work out. Find time, even if it's 10 minutes, to walk around your neighborhood or the treadmill or whatever. Find things for you. Find what makes you happy. Find what makes you tick, and find what allows you to be your most authentic self. People talk about vibrating high and I can't think of the other term that's on the tip of my tongue, but all of these terms mean the same thing. It's your best self. So what makes you your best self? Do more of that. Become more of that. Chase after that. That's what I would tell the women that are listening. And if you bought the book, thank you. If you haven't bought the book, that's okay. But if you want to buy the book, go ahead and buy the book.
Okay, so I have one more question for you before we go. But before I do that, again, you talked about it at the beginning, but let's send everyone to the website and as well where you're most active online so people can connect with you. And then after that, I have another question for you.
Okay. So on Facebook, Valencia Joy, V as in Victor, ALENCIA, JOY. On Instagram, V Joyful, V as in Victor, EEJOYFUL. I don't think I'm anywhere. Twitter. I'm not really active on Twitter. They got a lot of drama going on Twitter right now. I do have my name because I didn't want to let it go. So it's Queen V Joy over there. Clearly, I love to incorporate V in everything that I do.
Yes.
I used to didn't like my name. Growing up, I did not like Valencia. And the older I get, the more I love Valencia in the variations V. So yeah. And my website is vjoyful.com. That's V as in Victor, EEJOYFUL.com.
Well, before I ask my last question, thank you for bringing joy to our podcast. And your name is beautiful and it means something special. So thank you for sharing your voice with us. One last thing for our new authors that are listening. They're sitting there with a book on a hard drive or on a paper, and they're like, I don't know what to do with this story. I don't know if it matters. I don't know if anybody would even listen to me. Why would somebody listen to me? Mm-hmm. Right? I don't think my story is that interesting. Your story is powerful. Mine's like average. What would you say to someone, a new author listening, to encourage them to get that story off their computer, out of that paper book, and into the hands like Corey, who can help you?
Yeah.
What would you say to encourage somebody who feels completely overwhelmed that they're not good enough or their story's not good enough to do or share?
Yeah. If it was important enough to write, it's important enough for someone to listen to read. If it's heavy enough on your heart to get it out there, then it's meant to be out there. It's going to help somebody. Your story helps somebody. And if you can only help one person, that's more than enough. And I think we're in a time and space right now in the world where we just need to be more of a help to each other. Get your book out and help others. And I know that you're saying this so that I can do the podcast. I know, I understand. I see the trickery. But if you can help one person, then that, you should do what you can to help. And everybody's story matters. Everybody is important.
And that's exactly, I wasn't planning on using that as a way to convince you, but thank you for sharing it, because I think you shared a little bit at the beginning about how, you're like, I have this book, but I don't know what to do with it. And again, Corey came in and helped you. And that's beautiful that you've made that connection.
If I can just say one last thing.
Yeah.
What really stuck out for me during that time is that I was ready when Corey had an opportunity for me. Good. That I was ready. Had I not been obedient to God when I felt him pushing me, I wouldn't have, I'd be scrambling, because I want to be an author and I want to write and I want to have that that life, the author life. I want that. But if I don't write, then what would I have given her? If I had not been obedient, what would I have had?
Right.
So I think, if you have a craft, you have to work on it. You have to live in it, but you also have to be obedient when you feel creatives have, and I'm sure creatives have this pulling that comes out of nowhere all the time. Creatives have inspiration all the time. But I think a lot of times it gets so drowned out by life.
Right.
That we kind of ignore it. Don't ignore it. Find the time.
Yeah. And if your story helps one person in life, you are a success.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
You are a success.
Yeah.
Because that person might not have found that help from anyone else.
Yeah. Very true.
There we go. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast. Everyone, please go to the show notes. All the links are there. And if you need some joy in your life, Valencia is here to help you. And her book is going to help you. And the next book, I Need You Back, when book number 2 comes out. Okay, just put a pin in that because I would love to have you back and to continue the conversation.
And I probably need to be on the podcast too.
I will hold a space for you, back to our previous reference, for anything, and I will help you in any way because your message really matters, and I would love to be part of that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And I love the conversation today. Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your story. And to your youngest son, enjoy your prom and all that, and enjoy the next chapter. We're living the next chapter is the name of the podcast, but you and I are both living that next chapter as well in our family, right?
Yeah.
So enjoy this next chapter because it's going to be probably the best one yet.
Thank you.
Jumping here at the very end, I want to thank you for coming. We have listeners around the world, and I got to tell you, as a podcaster, it is so great to hear back from the people who listen to the show. Now, you are still here. The podcast's over. Like we're sweeping up and putting the chairs away. You're still here. So, hi. I would love to talk to you. No, I really, really would. I would love to hear your voice. I would love to hear from you through email. You can do all that at livingthenextchapter.com. I say it fast because I love it. Living the Next Chapter. It's the name of the podcast. .com. How's that for easy? Right? Right. So come on over there and let's have a conversation. You can set up time in my calendar. You can, air quote here, book. Book time in my calendar. Book next chapter. Let's have a conversation. Thanks for being here. See you on the next one. Cheers.
Mindshift Power Podcast, the podcast for teenagers and those who work with them. There's a huge problem in America today. There's a very large disconnect between teenagers and the adults who work with them. I'm looking to bridge that gap with real, raw, honest conversation, not held back by the chains of political correctness. You cannot solve a problem you do not understand. Want to understand teenagers today? Listen to this podcast. This podcast is for teens in the U.S. and Canada. To learn more, go to fatimabay.com/podcast or just look for Mindshift Power Podcast on any listening platform. I look forward to you being a faithful listener.